Alphari.
Thank you very much, and wow, hell of a series. Big time carry all 3 games. Alphari, I want to ask you, what were you guys doing on your IM week? Because that was honestly a big up from last time we saw you.
Well, during our IM week, we didn't have as much practice as we would like because a lot of teams were taking weeks off or days off to go home and see their families. But we had a lot more time to adjust to the patch than Unicorns because they played last patch in IM like a couple of days ago. So I think we had more time to adjust to the patch, and I think that really helped us.
Well, it certainly did, but at the same time, you guys had a really, really solid snowball game 1, but then the Unicorns kind of bite back game 2 and even into game 3. Were you expecting them to fight that hard?
Coming in, we thought Unicorns would be like really good early game and not so good mid-late game, but it kind of reversed. And so I caught us a little bit off guard, but I think mid-game, like we made a lot of mistakes, but we still managed to win, so it did surprise us, yeah.
Well, overall, your performance definitely seems to be improving, and in light of that, as you guys go forward, how far do you think this team can go in your rookie split?
I think we can go first. Like, we have a lot to improve on, like particularly our mid and the late game as well. Well, judging from this series at least, but I mean, we're doing good. I think all the players are really good, so I think we can definitely go first.
All right, well, looking forward to seeing if it all happens. Now, thank you very much. Congratulations again on your victory.
Thank you.
And we're going to go ahead and send it right over to the analyst desk. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Pyra. Alphari believes they can get first. I believe they can get first. Are you guys Misfits believers?
I'm a pretty big believer after that series. I don't know about first place. I think there's a lot of competition here, but that was such an enjoyable series.
Were you?
Not yet, but the trajectory, if it keeps going in the same direction at the same level of growth, of course it's possible. Like, this was a shift, like, as Stress was saying, really enjoyable series, but the shift of focus and play style is just, it's so apparent. They played for super late game around these Barons, and they followed the same steps every game. It's like their coach was standing next to them. First you do this, then you get the vision, then you get the Nasher. If they come, you peel off. This game, it's like, you pick a pushing top, a mid laner, you make a winning top matchup, you make Alphari dive Vizicachi over and over, and Ignar and Hansama play safe, play defensive, and then leverage that disadvantage into an advantage. It happened game 1 and 3 so beautifully, and even in game 2 it was present.
And I think the most interesting thing is you can look at different sections of the game and look at good things that both teams did. And we wanted to take one look at the early game that actually was both teams doing well. It was that weird moment where all 4 kills happened in about 30 seconds. So this was the dive coming from Kakao and Alphari.
But this is after, I think, the first W gets used a lot earlier, and then it kind of jumps all around. But like the patience on that top dive, it was much better, and it's much more set up for success here. Whereas like Misfits, they're wasting so much time 2v3, whereas in the top lane, they fail dive first, they don't die. So many teams would die, they're grading, they go for the proxy, and then the redive, once Alphari's W is up again, they spaced out 3 Renekton Ws to guarantee that kill. And meanwhile, minor misplay maybe from Ignar here, but Hansama will pick up a kill on the back. Even in their disadvantage, they're winning out.
And it's all from patience again. This Hansama play is patience. He's holding with this 4th shot. He's not only got to flash the route, but he has to time the Q. It's got to land, he makes it count, and again, just all the way around. From this, they then go mid for Misfits. Misfits go for the mid lane, get a kill onto Exile as well, and just very clean in several areas and you know, fairly straightforward.
Yeah, and you can just tell that this is practice. This isn't like randomly happening that they end up top for the dive. Like, because in the drafts as well, they banned out a Nautilus to then hopefully bait out a Maokai. It turns out it was the Orianna early. They just picked the Renekton knowing that like they have to go for like a passive matchup here, not the Maokai, the Trundle then, but like Renekton plus strong jungler will always dive. Now in game 2, they had a little bit of issues with the Lee Sin versus Graves matchup. They adapted their jungle path. Ignar took the bullet for the bot lane by leashing. Hansama started alone. So like these guys are adapting on the fly within a series with a clear goal in the game, and they're executing it so well.
Yeah, they are player of the series in this one. Kakao, you mentioned him there already, because although it was rough, once mid-game came around, then late game came around, he found every opening.
It's just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
Not only like mid-game, late game.
I'm excited.
You put his champion pool up there against any European jungler, and you're like, okay, this guy plays Lee Sin, he plays Graves, he can play the Elise, like he will.
But how he plays?
Yeah, it's what he does. So like you have the mechanical up plays where sometimes he'll go in for a flash kick into Q. Like that's how he took out Samex in the last fight. Earlier in this game, when they were down Alphari, Kakao was the guy actually moving behind the Unicorns, then peeling off, going top lane, adding pressure to the map. Deficio pointed that out in the game. Like this guy is versatile. He understands what pressure means in a game for the opponents. And he also has just insane mechanics. He had a couple kick flashes that turned around fights, that kicked in Exile, for example. He had such a large presence in his series.
Yeah, and this is like kind of a revival in his career, and I think that works for a lot of the members on the team individually. They're strong, but they didn't necessarily thrive as hard, but they're hungry. They have a great coaching staff. Everything around them works, and they're on an upward trajectory. UOL down, H2K and G2 to come, but I do also want to touch on the Unicorns of Love. After game one, you'd say, oh, this is not going very well, but I do think they were able to get a grip at least against on the series and have something to build on.
Yeah, definitely so. Like,
I mean, I agree. It's difficult with this one because Unicorns did a lot well with their team fighting later on. Still, you've got to look at the early game and say, okay, these players going early. Some improvements have been made. Some we saw at IEM and some in this series, but it's still not quite there. I want to see a little bit more tightening up of the early game plays.
Yeah, that's 8 losses in just 2 weeks now.
yeah, but if you look at where they were before the split, if you would have offered the Unicorns this standing with this progression on their jungler, 6 weeks into the split, I think they would be happy with it. This guy played a pretty clean series in Xerxes. He had a Baron steal. He was fundamental to their growth earlier on. They're going through a rough patch right now. Let's see what happens next for the Unicorns.
For sure. They built up some credit, and as you said, they can afford to lose the series because of what they build up, but we'll see what happens next. But next up here, we'll be getting into game one of our final matchup of the evening between fan favorites Fnatic and H2K. Don't touch that browser.
Haha, 60 ult again. Hey, fuck.
We've got 2 minutes now, they can walk out, otherwise they will be very tough. Oh, Hansama! Very clean finish, can they kick out Xerxes?
Xerxes coming in, actually.
No!
Unicorns of Love! They steal Baron from the best Baron team in Europe.
Nice. Take it. Senpai. Nice. Back.
Oh, Shockwave found nobody. Cacao looks for Samax. Here goes Legendary. Our people is exhausted. Misfits don't care. They turn their attention to the Nexus, gaining the kills, getting the base, and Misfits defeat the Unicorn.